Hi everyone, and welcome to English 10 Minutes. Today we have a special story for you. It's about how sometimes, the most unexpected moments, like a sudden rain shower, can change our lives in small but meaningful ways. Let's listen, and let the emotions of the story inspire our English learning. My notebook was my world. Not the kind of world with continents and oceans, but the kind made of paper pages, filled with my thoughts, my sketches, my secret poems. It was a simple blue notebook, a bit worn around the edges from being carried everywhere. Inside, the ink was mostly black, sometimes blue, and the drawings were usually pencil, soft and gray. I wasn't a great artist or a famous poet. I was just Maya, 17, and this notebook was the safest place I knew. That Tuesday afternoon, I was at my favorite spot in Willow Creek Park. It was late September, and the air was starting to feel crisp, carrying the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves, a smell I loved. I sat on my usual bench under the big oak tree, its leaves turning shades of orange and gold. My notebook was open on my lap. I was trying to finish a poem about the way the sunlight looked on the surface of the creek, like scattered diamonds. I chewed on the end of my pen, a habit I couldn't break. The words weren't coming easily. I wanted to capture that feeling of quiet happiness, the kind that warms you from the inside. But all my lines felt clumsy. I sighed and looked up, watching a group of kids playing soccer in the distance. Their shouts were a happy, faint noise. A friendly golden retriever chased a bright red ball, its tail wagging like crazy. Then I saw him, Liam. He was often at the park, usually reading or just sitting, like me. He had this quiet way about him that I liked. Today he was sitting on the grass near the rose garden, a guitar case beside him. He wasn't playing, just looking up at the sky. I'd sketched him once or twice in my notebook from a distance. Just quick, light lines. He had dark, wavy hair that always looked a little messy, and kind eyes, even though I only ever saw them from afar. My cheeks always felt a little warm when I saw him. Maybe it was silly. We'd never even spoken. I quickly looked back down at my notebook, my heart doing a little jump. I tried to focus on my poem, but now the image of Liam, looking so thoughtful, kept appearing in my mind. The sky had been a clear, gentle blue when I arrived, but now I noticed a change. Dark, heavy clouds were rolling in from the west, like a gray blanket being pulled across the sky. A cool wind picked up, rustling the leaves in the oak tree above me. The temperature dropped suddenly. I shivered a little. I should have checked the weather. Just a few more lines, I whispered to myself, determined to finish the stanza. I wrote, "Sunlight dances, a fleeting art," and then the first drop hit my page. A big, fat raindrop, right on the word art. The ink bloomed, a tiny dark flower spreading on the paper. My heart sank. No, 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 I mumbled. More drops followed, quickly, heavily. The gentle afternoon was gone. A sudden, fierce shower began. I slammed the notebook shut, hugging it to my chest, and jumped up. My backpack was under the bench, but by the time I grabbed it and tried to stuff the notebook inside, it was too late. The cover was already damp, and I knew some of the pages inside must be too. The rain was coming down hard now, blurring the world around me. The kids playing soccer were screaming and laughing as they ran for cover. I saw Liam quickly put his guitar into its case and stand up. He looked over in my direction for a moment, a questioning look on his face. I felt a blush creep up my neck, even in the chaos of the rain. I probably looked like a drowned rat. I didn't want him to see my precious notebook, now damp and possibly ruined. My special place, exposed. I turned and ran, my sneakers splashing in the puddles forming on the path, heading for the park exit and the bus stop. The rain plastered my hair to my face, and I could feel the dampness of my notebook even through my thin t-shirt. Each drop that hit me felt like a little bit of sadness. My poem about sunlight felt like a distant memory, Back in my room, the first thing I did was lay my notebook on my desk, near the open window. The rain had stopped, but the air was still cool and damp. I carefully opened it. My stomach twisted. Many pages were buckled and wavy from the water. The ink on the most recent pages, especially my unfinished poem about the sunlight, had bled. Words were smudged, lines blurred into unreadable gray shadows. Some of my pencil sketches were okay, just a little faded in places. But the ink, it was a mess. I felt a strong urge to cry. It sounds silly, I know. It was just a notebook, but it was my notebook. All those thoughts, those feelings, those attempts to capture moments, they felt damaged, almost violated. I gently blotted some of the worst pages with a tissue, but it didn't help much. The ink had already dried in blurry shapes. My poem about the sunlight was almost completely gone. The line, "Sunlight dances, a fleeting art," now looked like "Sunlight says, F-ing art." The word art was a big blue smudge, the T almost invisible. It looked like a F-ing heart. My heart. Maybe it was. I spent an hour carefully separating the damp pages, trying to smooth them out. Some of the older entries, written in ballpoint pen, had survived better. But the newer ones, written with my favorite fountain pen, were the worst. I felt a strange mix of frustration and a quiet kind of grief. It was like a part of me had been washed away. I picked up the page with the ruined sunlight poem. The smudged ink, the wavy paper. It was imperfect, ugly even. But as I stared at it, something else happened. The way the blue ink had bled into the paper, creating new accidental patterns, it was almost beautiful in a strange way. The strong, clear lines I had written were gone, replaced by soft, watery edges. It wasn't the poem I had tried to write, but it was something new. A different kind of art, maybe. An accidental one. I traced the smudged lines with my finger. F-ing heart. It was certainly more emotional now. A few days later, I was back at the park. I needed to be. The notebook felt different in my bag. Heavier, somehow, even though it was dry. I sat on a different bench this time, one a little more open, less hidden. I wasn't sure why. Maybe I didn't feel like hiding as much. I opened the notebook to a fresh page, but my eyes kept going back to the smudged poem. A fwing heart. I thought about how I'd run away in the rain, worried about someone seeing my ruined thoughts. Suddenly, a shadow fell over my page. Hi. I jumped, nearly dropping my pen. It was Liam. He was standing there, a small, shy smile on his face. His dark hair was, as usual, perfectly messy. He held a coffee cup in one hand. "Oh, hi," I managed, my voice a little breathless. My cheeks instantly felt warm. "Is the seat taken?" he asked, gesturing to the space beside me. I shook my head. "No, please." He sat down, leaving a comfortable space between us. "I saw you the other day," he said, his voice soft. "When the rain started. You left in a hurry." "Oh yeah," I said, looking down at my notebook. "My notebook got wet. I don't know why I admitted it." "Ah, that's the worst," he said, nodding sympathetically. "Especially if you have important stuff in it." He paused. "I play guitar, and once my sheet music got soaked right before a small coffee shop gig. The notes looked like they were melting." He chuckled. "A nice, warm sound." I smiled a little. "Yeah, something like that." I hesitated. Then, feeling a strange new bravery, I opened the notebook to the smudged poem. This was what I was working on. He leaned over slightly to look. I could smell a faint scent of coffee and something else. Maybe old books. It was a nice smell. He was quiet for a moment, studying the page. I held my breath. "Wow," he said softly. "The rain changed it, didn't it?" He pointed to the smudged line. Sunlight. A fleeting heart. That's really beautiful. My eyes widened. Fleeting heart? I looked closer. The way the art had smudged, and the ing. He had read it differently. Not as a ruin, but as something else. Something poignant. It feels really emotional, he continued, looking at me now. Like how moments of beauty or happiness, they don't last forever, but they touch your heart deeply while they're there. A fleeting heart. A fleeting heart. I stared at the page, then at Liam. He didn't see a mistake. He saw meaning. Maybe the rain hadn't ruined my poem. Maybe it had helped me find what I was really trying to say. The clumsy lines I had struggled with were gone, and in their place was this accidental truth. I didn't see it that way, I admitted, a small smile playing on my lips. I just saw the mess. Sometimes the mess is where the good stuff is, he said, his eyes kind. My guitar teacher always says the best songs come from accidents, from unexpected notes that sound surprisingly right. He took a sip of his coffee. What else do you write? And just like that, we started talking. I told him about my poems, my sketches. He told me about his music, the songs he was trying to write, his dreams of playing in a band. It wasn't forced or awkward. It felt easy, natural, like a conversation I'd been waiting to have. He didn't ask to read more of my notebook, and I was glad. It still felt private. But sharing that one smudged page, that one ruined poem, had opened a door. The rain had washed away some of my fear, my need for everything to be perfect and hidden. When the sun began to set, painting the sky in colors that no poem could truly capture, we were still talking. He walked me to the park entrance. I'm usually here on Tuesdays and Thursdays, he said, as we paused by the gate. If you want to talk again. I'd like that, I said. And this time, the smile reached my eyes. I'm Maya, by the way. Liam, he replied, his own smile widening. It was really nice to meet you, Maya, and your fleeting heart. I walked home feeling lighter than I had in a long time. My notebook was still in my bag, its pages still a little wavy. But now, when I thought about the rain on my notebook, I didn't feel sadness. I felt something else. A little bit of hope. A little bit of excitement for unexpected notes, for accidental poems, for fleeting hearts that might, just might, decide to stay a while. The smudges didn't seem like damage anymore. They looked more like the beginning of a new story. That was Rain on Her Notebook. We hope Maya's story reminded you that beauty and connection can be found in unexpected places, even in the imperfections. Keep practicing your English, keep sharing your stories, and we'll see you next time on English 10 Minutes.